If you have your pull plan, and we're hoping that in the future you'll use the rules over here to the right, and we also hope that you use the sticky format, and that as you populate stickies to the left, that you check off your needs. And if you do that in a systematic way in your pull plan, you'll always make sure you have a complete sequence. So we're assuming right now you have a complete pull plan sequence with as verified production rates as you can get, quantities, and historical projects or sequence examples. In our little example, you won't have these, but we're assuming that in the future you'll try to get those. So we have our pull plan, and I am going to bring that in. So you're following me right now. I'm going to simply type in each of those activities, and I'm going to type in their duration. Pretty simple stuff. Now over here to the right, I have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I only do this, meaning type out these out to the right, the number of days, because you could have some activities that are longer. Most of the time, I won't do anything more than 10 because most of your activities should have been broken down within 10-day segments already. But the bottom line is I have my pull plan listed here, I have the duration listed here, and then in this list over here, 1 to 10, I'm just asking people to put an X in there for how many days that activity takes. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This one actually is 2. I don't know why that was wrong. 1, 3 to 3, 3 to 3, 2 to 3. You get the point. Whatever the number is over here is what I should be seeing over here by way of X's. Now, in the math, you might have to adjust the formula a little bit. This little cell right here should total the duration. So that's 26 total days. And then the average is 2.1. So if I take the average of 26 days divided by the amount of columns that we have, the average is 2.16. So that is my first indicator, and I'll type that. This is my first indicator of what my takt time possibly could be. So if I have 2.16, can somebody tell me what I would guess my takt time could be? If it's 2.16, what would I change that to for a takt?
Would be 3.
Yep, absolutely great job. Whoever spoke up, I just love what you're doing there. Then I would say that this one right here says from the 26, 1.3 is 5%, 5.2 is 20% of that overall duration. So this gives me my ideal minimum buffer, ideal maximum buffer. So I want to find enough buffers in this sequence that fit between 1 and 5, basically. Work with me on this. I have this little arrow here, and this is how I kind of like to visualize it. I want to squish these activities together, and I wish I had a software that did it automatically. Kevin will one day. I'll probably squish it down to my first indicator, which is a takt time of 3. So I'll say, yeah, let's just go ahead and take a stab at it at 3, and let's see if we could package these together into takt wagons. So if I did this, this is what it would look like. Okay, controlled concrete slabs, that's 1 day, great. Flowcrete, that's another day, so that could go right after. Painting the ceilings, that could go the next day, and I could literally package that into and I'll put a border around it, into a takt wagon, and that would fit within a 3-day takt time. And then I would be able to pretty quickly label that. Let me pull down my takt wagon legend. So then this first takt wagon would be control, slabs, flowcrete, and paint ceilings. Now, here's a couple things that I want to remind us of. In takt planning, we have to be open to a couple of different things. And I'm asking you to be open to this. Number 1 is be open to other takt times than 5 days. Number 2, be open to packaging multiple trades into a takt wagon. Okay? I'm wanting you to be open to those things. Typically, people doing takt planning, they think it's automatically within a 5-day takt time. They think every one of these takt wagons has to be a single scope. That's just not true. And I want to just showcase that right now. So hopefully we're on the same page with that. If I start to use this thought process here, then I would say, okay, top and bottom stud work, that's 2 days. And then vertical fire sprinkler, I could move that to the 3rd day and package these 2 work packages into a takt wagon. And then takt wagon number 2 would be studs and fire sprinkler. So they directly translate. Now, as I go down here, hydronic piping already has 3 days, so that would be its own takt wagon. And I know it's painful to watch me, but please just stay with me for a minute. Your stud work will be 3 days over here, so metal studs, and then drywall one side, probably because there isn't another smaller activity with it. I would make it its own takt wagon, but use the 3rd day as a buffer. So now I've got 1 buffer day in my sequence. So then this takt wagon number 5 would be drywall one side, okay? And then fireproof slabs, that's probably its own takt wagon. So fireproofing And then this in-wall electrical, we have a problem that's too long. So what do? Because I moved that arrow over, I would scrunch it down and it would become two separate takt wagons. So in-wall electrical, maybe A, and then I would do in-wall, I must have electrical B. I could have just copied that. So this first one will be a full, and I would change this from 3 and from 5 to 3, 3 to 2. And I'll make this first one a takt wagon. So takt wagon number 7 would be in wall electrical A, and then the next one would be in wall electrical B as I'm going down here. So this next one right here would then have another buffer because there's no other work packaged in there with me and it only takes 2 days. So that other day is a buffer day. And then in-wall plumbing and piping would be its own takt wagon. So, and then inspections is able to happen on that last day. So those can actually be packaged together. My other takt wagon would be in-wall plumbing and piping and inspect. Okay, so I've packaged this into a 3-day takt time and I have 2 buffers. So the check to see if I've done this right, to see if my arrow scrunching came down here to the right point, is to see if my buffers landed within this range. And so if I have 2 buffers, did it land within the range? Yes. Could I also have made this last one its own separate one and added 2 more buffers and had a total of 4? Yes. But if I had 7 or 0 buffers, then I know I did not package it right. So I'm going to go back to my visual here. My point is, if I have normal work that can go in a normal takt wagon, that's great. But if I have too much work that can fit within a takt wagon, then it needs to split out and become 2. And then if I have too little work, like these 2 right here, they might need to combine into a single takt wagon to be effective. And then again, if I have way too much work, I may even have to split that out and have it become 3. This is flow. If you ever get to do the simulation with us, you'll realize that you can go from 16 minutes building the simulation down to 8, but you'll never get from 8 to 5 or 8 to 4.5 minutes if you don't really level the amount of work. This is called leveling, and it's one of the most crucial things that you do. Most really good takt schedulers spend most of their time here. So let me go over this one more time. I brought in my activities, brought in my durations, I X'd them out, I looked at my average. It was my first indicator that I could target a takt time of 3. I also calculated my buffers. Once I moved this over here and scrunched everything together into 3 and packaged these takt wagons and ended up with 2 buffers, I was able to come over here and check if it met within the range, and the answer is yes, which gives me a pretty good indication that I've packaged it right and that my takt wagon legend is ready to go.